Jenna, well, let me just give you a little advice from someone who very often likes to pat themselves on the back for being correct about things myself. You usually want to wait until you're actually officially right. Ian Rappaport's vague reporting that he might be open to it. You might be putting the cart a little bit before the horse was born, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see where Cam signs. We'll see how this one plays out. But there is this false equivalency going on that Jameis is accepting a backup role and Andy Dalton is accepting a backup role. So why wouldn't Cam Newton do it? And so for an analogy that I think the audience can understand, if unfortunately, if all of a sudden, if myself, Kevin Wildes, and Colin Cowherd today, all three of us were fired by FS1, and Wildes a week later, he's like, hey, I'm going to go back up Willie Geist, and I say I'm going to go work for Quibi with Maverick on some project, and then everyone's like, hey, Cowherd, Wildes and Nick already took jobs beneath where they were. What are you doing? Why aren't you? It would be like, well, I'm Colin Cowherd, and they're Wildes and Nick, so I don't know if we really should be holding them to the same standard. Jameis Winston is supposed to try to rebuild his value by taking a backup quarterback job. Andy Dalton is supposed to try to rebuild his value, or for Dalton, backup quarterback might be where he is the rest of his career. Even the most ardent Cam Newton critics do not believe there are 32 quarterbacks better than him. So do I think it could possibly make sense for him to go to Denver as the backup when he's obviously better than Drew Lock and end up if Drew Lock underachieves with all that offensive talent they brought in, taking the job? Possibly. Do I think maybe if Pittsburgh says, we know this is Ben's last year, come here and take over for this franchise with this great coaching staff and this great defense? Maybe. But if he does that, then there will be a team in the league that has a backup quarterback better than about 12 to 15 teams in the league starting quarterback Wildes. And so I'm going to wait and see how this one actually plays out, Kevin.
Okay, I'm going to take people behind the curtain a little bit. Jenna has been saying, since this story came out, that Cam should be willing to accept a backup role, and Nick said no way. And after the show, we have a nice Zoom meeting, and it's usually like, hey, good job, that was a cool graphic. And Jenna got on the Zoom and just roasted Nick. And Nick's outside walking his dog, and he's just getting roasted on the Zoom because Jenna said, like, he should take it back up. And then 3 hours later, the report comes out. So it's a big win for Jenna. Nick is unwilling to give her deserved gold medal for having the winning take on the Zoom.
Can it happen?
You did a great job.
Actually have it happen before the win is booked?
He's maybe thinking about it.
The Chiefs haven't won the Super Bowl, but you feel willing to give them those 13 wins. Okay, the other... All right, Jenna, I'll throw it to you. Here's why I think this is super stressful. If you've got a bad QB, you can't bring Cam in as your backup because Cam Newton is sitting there. And then if you've got a great QB, I think you'd also be stressed about having Cam as your backup. So I don't know what teams are supposed to do.
First of all, he's not playing football now. I don't think it matters specifically what role he's brought in, as long as he gets on a team, learns the offense, shows that he's healthy, and can get back out there and get some reps, earn the starting job. That's all I'm saying. I love Cam. I want to see him succeed. Coach, I want to bring you in. You were on here last week. You said the reason why the Patriots were probably not interested in Cam is because he's probably more interested in being a star than a starting quarterback. What kind of challenges would he face as a backup on any team? With the personality, he's got a big personality. What kind of challenges would that face on any team in the league right now?
Well, first of all, I'm a little bit disappointed I didn't get that invite to that Zoom call. But outside of that, look, when you're talking about a backup quarterback, there's a lot of things that go into that. Ideally, if you're bringing in a veteran, you want a guy that, if you have a young quarterback, is willing to mentor him, is willing to spend time with them and allow them to get better and play that role. I don't know if Cam's in that place. The second thing is backup quarterbacks are going to typically make backup money, and Cam has made a lot of money over the course of his career, and when that check goes from whatever significant dollar amount he had to, the $3 million of guarantees that Andy Dalton got, that's going to be hard for him to look at, and that's going to be something he's going to have to get his head around. And in addition to that, you don't get the same amount of reps. You don't get the same amount of attention in meetings, and he's always had the primary amount of reps. He's always had the most attention. How well do you adjust to that? Because you've got to be able to play with very limited opportunities in practice, and that's a very different place to be as well. So the biggest part of it is, are you truly open to that, or are you just trying to get on a team so that you can get in the mix? And look, you can't be a starter until you're on a team. And if he gets on a team as a backup, great, and shows that he's a starter, then great. No team's going to be disappointed if they get an upgrade at quarterback.
Yeah, right. But this is why this conversation frustrates me so much, because people are being disingenuous about the quarterback position in this league and competition. This is unlike any other position in the sport where the best guy plays. There are maybe 5 teams in the league in any given year that have an actual quarterback competition, and that is at the high end. So this idea that Cam could just sign, I'll use the team I mentioned, with the Steelers, and that if he's better than Big Ben, that they'll be like, well, we got to play the better guy. That is not how the NFL works. It's not how it's ever worked, and everyone knows it. So this nonsense that if you want to play, well, then go prove it and play. If you want to be a starter, go somewhere you can be a starter. This is like what I tell young people who want to be in broadcasters. If you want to be on the air, go somewhere you can be on the air, not somewhere you're going to be a producer and one day maybe. If you want to be on the air, be on the air. And as far as the problems of a backup quarterback, here are problem backup quarterbacks. Anthony Gordon, Josh Wolford, Matt Schaub, who I did not know was still playing football, Blaine Gabbert, Sean Mannion. Those are some problem backup quarterbacks. The idea that, well, we wouldn't even want Cam as a backup because he's too good. Everyone's lost their minds. So let's just see how this plays out. And if I have to eat it, I have to eat it. But it's early May. Cam's been a free agent for a few weeks, and we'll see what happens, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.